I almost want to say good morning. It feels like the right thing to say. But it's not morning, it's evening. Good Saturday evening, everybody. Hope you're all having a good night. All right, this will be interesting for me because people were prepared for this, and I'm not, because I don't prepare for anything. So we're gonna wing it. I got a napkin in my pocket. I did this brilliant thing when I was making my coffee, and we have this Keurig that has like settings for how much coffee you want to put in your cup. We have different cups for different amounts of coffee. And I grabbed this cup because I really wanted to use this cup for the live stream today. But this is a 10-ounce cup. No, an 8-ounce cup. And I accidentally put 12 ounces of coffee in it. If you've ever put 12 ounces of liquid in an 8-ounce receptacle, it doesn't go well. So it took me an extra minute to make my coffee today. Well, good morning, London. So let's see. Try to ease our way into this today. Also, I'll admit that I didn't make the best decision by saying I was going to have cheesecake, because it's really hard to talk and eat cheesecake. But I'm going to do my best. So, man, before I get too deep into it, we'll see how many times I can say that tonight. The diet has been going really well. Can you tell? I feel pretty good. It's amazing what happens when you follow the diet that you say you're going to be following. I've had a week where not only did I not eat sweets, but we didn't go out to eat and we didn't buy any like takeout food. So no Chipotle, no barbecue, no burgers. Think we had steak twice this week. Pretty much the rest of the meals were chicken, broccoli, eggs, bread, like stuff like that. Normal stuff. Oh, and some rice. So I've been very good. And I have lost 6 pounds in the last like week and a half. Some of that's water, some of that's weight. You lose a lot of water when you're not eating garbage as well. 20 pounds after retirement is a big deal. It's amazing. Man, how many tangents can I go on? Like when I had in-service recently, and in-service is like when officers have to go to training a couple times a year, and you sit in a classroom and they just talk at you. And one of the things that they were talking about was stress and how stress affects the body. And just the stress of the job. Well, and they talked about how much stress police officers are under and kind of the feeling of stress. And I can attest to this, and my wife can also attest to this, that the moment I put my vest on, I instantly feel worse. And it's part of that that stress factor. And it's not that I'm worried about going to work. It's just that putting on the uniform kind of brings negative emotions like straight into your head. And it's a form of stress. And when you're stressed out, your body doesn't necessarily react the way it should react. So I can see how you would lose 20 pounds after you're retired, because hopefully your life is a lot less stressful. Did you really have a heart attack, John? All right, before I get too deep, so the cheesecake. Can I get this? Here. Let me get this stupid video out of the way. There we go. Although, I like my face when it's smaller on the screen. So I went to Cheesecake Girl, and I got their blueberry crumble cheesecake. I've had it before. It's amazing. And I'm going to eat it on a live stream, which is probably not something you're supposed to do. But I've been very good this week. I probably shouldn't chew right in the microphone. I would describe it like one of my food reviews, but I'm not very good at describing cheesecake. I did a review of Cheesecake Girl, and their stuff is always amazing. Can you see? Will it focus? Look at that. Their cheesecake is nuts. I don't think my wife's having cheesecake tonight. This one is more of a traditional kind of cheesecake. They have some crazy ones. Like they had a cinnamon roll one there today, where I believe it's like cinnamon roll on the inside, and then cheesecake, and on the top they thick pipe, like cream cheese filling or icing on top, like a lattice, and then they put cinnamon on top. That one's amazing, but I think it was gonna be too sugary for me to do on stream. I'm going to be having a hard time just drinking coffee and eating cheesecake. We've got almost 40 people getting there. One of the reasons I wanted to do, to kind of start with this, when I do the editing videos, it's kind of a nice way to kind of get everything rolling while everybody kind of gets in here and starts talking, and then I can get a feel for what everybody wants to talk about. I didn't have anything I wanted to edit on stream tonight, so I figured I would do this and just kind of hang out. And this was probably not a good idea. I can also see if trolls start to creep in. I've got YouTube up on the other screen, and I'm getting ready to hit the band hammer. So let's see, because I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but there was like a troll infestation this week on the channel. I don't know how much I'm going to talk about that though. I might have to stop because I can't talk and eat this thing. It's not polite to eat and talk. Plus, I eat like a caveman. I didn't really think about that through, but I'm not like some dainty little eater. You know what this reminds me of is when I was younger, I used to wait tables, and I remember applying for my first job as a waiter. I applied for a job at Olive Garden, Applebee's, and TGI Fridays all at the same time. And I got interviews with all of them. And I was like fresh out of basic training. And I didn't really have a sense of humor, or I wasn't creative at all. So I remember going into TGI Fridays, and they thought they were like, TGI Fridays back in the 90s was like one of the most fun restaurants to go to. People don't realize how good that place was. And but the manager, he sat me down, he talked to me for like a minute, and then he's like, all right. He's like, here's what I want you to do. And he grabs a salt shaker, puts it in front of me, he goes, I want you to sell me that salt shaker. That really threw me for a loop. But what he was trying to do was figure out if I could basically talk about anything, or if I could sell basically anything, whether or not I cared about it. It's kind of what I'm doing now. My screen is over there. That has me on it. The screen over here is the one that I work on, so I don't look over there. Plus, it's kind of weird looking at yourself. Well, 53 people so far watching me eat cheesecake. This is riveting. So, as far as interesting stuff for today, in Columbus, Ohio, it has gone from cold to sunny, back to cold. We had like snow and sleet twice, And then it just got cold and windy. And now the sun is down, I think. We're not supposed to be having that kind of weather in April. I'm a little tired of it. I had to actually put on pants when I ran to the store. As I got home from work. So this is a cheat meal. But one of the ways I'm doing my cheat meal tonight, I eat, on work days, I eat like 6 meals a day. Well, 6 meals a day on days I work out. 5 meals a day on days I don't work out. 4 meals a day on days that I don't work or work out, which is only Wednesday. But usually when I go home from work, I'm starving. And I'll have a sandwich or something, and then I'll go to the gym. Tonight, I got home, and I was starving, but I didn't eat anything. I went to the store, got some burgers, came home, grilled them up, had them, and now I'm having this. I had 1.25 pounds of bacon cheeseburger burger patties. It was like the bacon was ground into the burgers. It was good. It wasn't as good as I thought it was gonna be, but it was satisfying. John, about what's that guy's name? Is it Mitchell, the vice officer? I don't know. I haven't watched any of the trial. I don't necessarily know what the evidence is, but I know that it had to be a lot of evidence for them to go ahead and indict him. There's more than what we know. If they don't get him for that, they're probably going to get him for all the other charges. For those of you who don't know, there's a former vice officer with the Columbus Division of Police who is on trial right now for murder. He was working vice, picked up a prostitute like he's supposed to, took her somewhere, was going to allegedly write her charges. There's audio recordings of what was going on in the car. She said, "I want to see your radio and your badge to know that you're a police officer." He had her in the back seat of the car with the child seats locked. And he said, "I don't have my badge or my radio, but you're under arrest and you can't get out of the car." There was a struggle. She stabbed him and he shot her. So that's the most basic information that we have. The rest of it is up for the trial court to figure out. Then there's also another trial coming. I'm not sure. I honestly don't follow this stuff very closely, where he's being accused of arresting prostitutes and then exchanging sex for their freedom. So saying, "I'm not going to charge you if you take care of this," and go from there. I don't know what the evidence is on any of those trials, but that trial is also ongoing. Yeah, Matt, that's something that I don't know what the specific facts are, what the SOP was for the department. I just know what I'm being told as far as the trial goes. All right, so I am kind of stuffed now, and I'm almost out of coffee. So there's that. What else is going on? So yesterday, I told you guys that I was going to talk about my week. Dogs are upstairs. They don't come down the basement. I had a really good week this week. There's a lot of movement at work, which movement means that days off gets changed. And I'm going to have a weekend day like coming off soon. Get a new job where instead of having both my days off in the middle of the week, now I'm going to have a day off in the middle of the week or on the weekend. So that's very exciting. Not something I was expecting just coming to first shift about a year ago. So that was, pretty exciting news. It's hard to convey that kind of stuff to people that aren't cops. Because like we play the seniority game so much, and in order to get good days off, you have to have seniority, yada, yada, yada. I don't know. I'm kind of getting pretty good days off on first shift way before I ever thought I would with the seniority I had. So that was kind of how my week started off, and is exciting. And then, what day was it? I could pull up the video. I posted it in my story the other day. Let's see. Favorite memory from shift. I don't know. You guys remember there was a guy. How was my audio, by the way? I'm not really talking right into the mic. There was a guy I told a story about. His name was Michael. And Michael and I were like arch nemesis for a long time. He was living in a house on my district, and every time he called, I was the one that responded to his house. I remember the first time I ever responded to his house, he called internal affairs on me because he wanted me to write tickets to basically every single car on his street, because they were all facing the wrong direction, and I wasn't going to do that. So he called internal affairs on me, and then it got to the point where he was calling the police probably 4 or 5 times a night, or at least a day, in general. And it became clear to me that there was something wrong with him. And all of his utilities and everything were shut off. He lived with a family member, but that family member moved out, and he was going to be evicted. He was going to be on the street. He would never admit that he was using drugs, but it was quite clear he was using drugs. And when he was using drugs, that's when he would have these outbursts or whatever. So I ended up getting him into mental health treatment by taking him out for donuts. And then I told the story about how a short time after that, well, maybe a few months after that, I had a run involving a homeless person sleeping on a bench at a retirement community. And he was like literally right up against the doors to this building, and they wanted him to be removed. I went and woke him up, and he looked up kind of at my waist because he was sitting on the ground tying his shoes, and he asked about me by name, and said that he wanted the officer, that he didn't know it was me. Oh God, how do I get rid of this? Hang on. Block user. Spam started. He wanted the officer that was me to tell me that he was sorry, that he had kind of fallen off the wagon and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't have the heart at the time to tell him that he was actually talking to the officer who had helped him out tremendously not too long before. And it bothered me. It was strange because I put a lot of effort into helping get this guy off the street. And then he was just another case of this homeless guy who, well, I mean, he was even homeless before, but he was someone who I thought I could prevent from becoming homeless, this job is a weird job. It's not something people from outside can understand. I think that there's some police officers who they take this job because they think they're going to like make the world a better place and they're going to save everybody, or I don't know. I wasn't one of those people. I took this job because I wanted a job where, it sounds like I'm contradicting myself, but I wanted a job where it felt like I had a purpose, that I wasn't just trying to like make money for the bank or do numbers or something like that. I didn't think that I was going to have some tremendous impact on people's lives, but I did think that on a daily basis, I could maybe do something that was worthwhile. I always thought that taking bad guys and getting them off the street was something that's worthwhile. It turns out that's not what the police do anymore. So, but anyway, I never, until you work the job, you don't know about these people who their lives are so utterly helpless. Like their daily existence is just that. They simply, the only thing they exist for is that day. And and they're just trying to survive that day, and they barely even do that. Um, it's really tragic, and you just kind of get used to that being the norm. You know, you just deal. It's like every single day you see the same people, they're doing the same things, and it never changes. So every once in a while, you get like an opportunity will spring up, and you're like, oh, you know what? Like all these people's lives that I deal with on a daily basis, their lives suck. Their lives never going to get better. They're not going to find a way out. The opportunity is not there for them. It is what it is. But here's one. This guy right here, I think I have a way to kind of prevent him from going down that path. So you do something for that person. You feel really good about it, and you're like, oh, I did that. I saved one today. Like, that's really cool. And you kind of ride that for a little while, and you tell all your friends about it, and you tell your family, and for months and months and months, you go around thinking that you did something really good. And then here you are on a rainy night under an awning at an old folks home, and you come across this guy that you saved, and you didn't save him at all. Like he's exactly where he was going to be if you had never come into his life. And you experience that over and over and over again. Tread, I found out I can do this. Thank you for the $2. That was very nice of you. But like you experience that so much that it's not like you give up hope. Like I don't ever give up hope for myself. I don't feel hopeless. I'm not stressed out about these people's lives. It doesn't really affect me because you become so numb to it, and you realize, oh, you know what? Especially when you're younger and as you progress through the career, initially you think, oh, I've got this person, I'm going to get them better, I'm going to do all this stuff for them. And then you do all these things for people, and they end up right where they would have ended up had you not done anything. And you kind of become numb to it. And then you're less likely to do those things in the future, and you're less likely to care and put that effort into the next people. And that's the kind of stuff that people see when they see police officers interacting with the public, and they think, well, those guys don't care. And then they think that officers need sensitivity training and, whatever. That's where that stuff comes from. It's not that the officers don't care, it's that they can't. Because if you really think about this stuff and you really put your heart and soul into it on a daily basis, it would eat you alive, and you wouldn't be able to survive this job. There you go. Danny, busting out your real name. Thank you very much for the $5. It's very kind of you. I'm going to get to what I might do with some of these donations in a little bit, but I really do appreciate the donations. So anyway, the other day I was driving down the road. I was actually on my way to a call, and I got stuck behind. I was driving down a major, we have like 4-lane roads connected by kind of large 2-lane roads. And I was going down one of these connector roads, and a freaking semi decided to go down that road. I don't know why a semi went down that road. They never go down that road, but semi went down that road, had to make a right-hand turn at the end, and had to take up all the lanes in order to turn. And there was an ambulance coming down the road. So traffic got all goofed up, and I didn't make it to my run. I didn't need to anyway. Like the other car got there, he got on the air and he said, hey, you can clear the other car. Everything's fine. It was about a house break-in or something. It was a vacant house that somebody was snooping around, something like that. And so I'm sitting at this light, and off to my right hand side, there's this dude, and he's walking, and he's kind of like crouching down, trying to look at my window. And he's like, Ben, is that you? And I looked over, and it was Michael. It was my guy that I had dealt with many, many, many times over the years. And I looked over at him, and it is not as impactful when I point, but I looked at him, I go, hey, get in that parking lot right now. And he starts laughing, and I pulled around, came in that parking lot. Now, Corinne, thank you very much for the $5. That was It really does. It makes my day. It's odd. It means a lot to me that you guys enjoy what I do enough that you'll share some of your money with me. Does that make sense? Um, I really appreciate that you put value in that. So thank you so much for sharing with me. So I pulled in the parking lot, and I jump out of the car, I run over to him, I shake his hand, give him a big hug, and I was like, dude, I've been looking for you. I haven't seen you forever. I've heard you're out here. And he looked amazing. He looked great. You could just tell that he was clean and that he was feeling well. Shook his hand, gave him a hug, and I was like, hey, we're going to be talking for a minute, but let me go get my coffee. So I opened my cruiser door to get my coffee, and he was like, yeah, that's what I was doing here too. But I was short on change today, so I can't have any coffee. And I was like, well, dude, and sorry, I swear a lot when I'm talking to people, but I was like, you need a cup of coffee? Like, let's go get some coffee. So had him meet me over by the front door. I parked the cruiser because I was literally just sitting in the middle of a gas station parking lot. Holy smokes. Margaret, thank you very much. Thank you so much. That was really nice. So my cruiser was sitting in the middle of this parking lot, and I just pulled it up by the door. We go inside. He pours himself a coffee. He probably put 27 sugars in his coffee, which was hilarious. And he's sitting there, and while he's doing this, he's mixing his coffee and everything. He's telling me all about the way he got clean, and he had 224 days sober at the time that we talked. And he was telling me everything, telling me how many times he's been arrested since then. Unfortunately, the family member that he was living with that ended up kicking him out, she ended up passing away since then. So he's been through a lot, but he got into like a treatment facility that I think is on a farm, and he was just so excited telling me about all the things he did. I think he did 120 days inpatient. I'll get some questions here in just a moment. Let me finish this story. Did like 120 days inpatient, and then went to like a sober living house, and told me about how, you start off doing 5 days a week meetings, then 4 days a week meetings, 3 days a week meetings, and now he's down to 1 day a week. And he had so much he wanted to talk to me about. We spent about an hour and a half. I didn't time it, but an hour and a half to 2 hours sitting there talking. And, it was crazy. He wanted to show me his tokens. I don't understand how this stuff works, but when you're in sobriety, you get tokens for staying clean for periods of time or doing things. And, when he was doing it, he's emptying out his pockets, and he's pulling out like these religious pamphlets and stuff. And one was like Rick Warren. He's like, oh yeah, Rick Warren. He's like, I really like that guy. He's like, have you ever heard of this book, Purpose Driven Life? And it's just so funny because this is a guy who used to call the police 7-8 times a day with fictitious people breaking into his garage. And then when I would show up and I wouldn't chase after them, he would call me names and swear at me and all that other stuff. And here he is talking about purpose-driven life. And it was wild. The other thing that really had an impact on me was he had been through a bunch of like sober living houses as he went through this process. And like he kind of, as he got more sober, he'd go into different places that were less restrictive and stuff because he was more in control of himself. And he actually found himself at a place where these people at these houses, they were like, hey, we need this bed for somebody else. They're like, you're done. So he was asked to leave, and he's homeless again. But the funny thing is, he has the best attitude I've ever seen on a homeless person, to the extent that, like I told you, when I first ran into him and I said that I wanted to grab my coffee, he was like, yeah, I didn't find enough change today. I don't have a cup of coffee. He could have asked me for something he didn't ask. I offered multiple times during our conversation to take him to get some food. I was literally going to take him to a restaurant. I wanted to sit down and eat with him while he talked. And he was like, no, he's like, I'm good. He's like, I'm going to go to this place, this place, this place. They hand out all the food and I'm good to go there. And then I was like, well, those places don't open for another hour. Do you want to ride? And he's like, no, the bus is still running and yada, yada, yada. That was kind of the sign to me that he's really in a good place right now. Because normally when you run across people like that and they realize that you're trying to be nice to them, that's usually where they start asking for things. And he didn't ask for anything. He was just in a really good place. So it made me happy. I was floating that day. It's just, and it's one of the things that I told him. I was like, on the 11 years so far that I've been doing this job, he's only the second person I've ever seen go from the place he was at to the place he is now. The other person I know that I'm not going to tell the whole story, but he was even doing better because I ran into him at a gas station and he was leaning over the counter. I had many dealings with him and, I went up behind him. I kind of snuck up on him and I reached in, I grabbed him by the collar of his shirt and I kind of yanked on him. And I knew that I scared the hell out of everyone at the gas station. And I pulled him back and I go, hey, is this guy bothering you? And that guy turned and looked at me, saw who it was, and he gives me a big hug. And he's like, dude, how you been? And blah, blah, blah. But that guy is actually, he got a job for like UPS or something. So he had his own apartment, had a job and everything. But the time that I've been doing this job, I've only had 2 of those kind of success stories. And that was something that I was really excited about. So I really wanted to share that story with you guys. And I didn't want to do it on a video itself because when I record my videos, if I lose my train of thought, I'll turn off the recording and I'll start over. And you lose a lot of what made it genuine when you do that. And I wanted to actually hang out and talk to you guys because I know that everyone that's here now has been a really pretty loyal subscriber of mine. And you're here because you like hearing me talk. So I wanted it to be genuine, like straight off the cuff. I wanted you guys to be able to experience that. So that was the first story I really wanted to tell you guys. And that was the whole reason I really wanted to do the live stream. London Strolling, thank you for the donation. Do you have like a channel? That's like quite the logo. I might have to look you up. Now, I'm going to scroll up in this chat a little bit, see if I've got some questions to get to. Let's see, I started at 7:30, so. Whoa, I missed. Can I show this? Angie, I missed yours. That was a $20 donation. Thank you very much, Angie. That's very sweet. I think you dropped a donation last time, like right when I was turning the camera off too, and I didn't get a chance to thank you on screen. Thank you very much. I don't know where it is in my queue, so I can't put it up on the screen right now. And I'm not a expert at this. Let's see. All right, I'm scrolling back down. Make sure to see if I got any really good comments. Let's see. Michelle, I'm sorry that you're gaining weight listening to me talk about food. That's one of the reasons I stopped talking about food. I want to know if you're equally vigilant in your way. Michelle, your question, if I'm equally vigilant when I'm away, like from home, off work, as you are at work, please. Like, your ability to see the world around you becomes enhanced when you become a police officer. That's the truth. Like, everywhere you go, you're not only are you like looking at everything, but you see everything. So I am, but like the sense of vigilance is not quite the same. Because when I'm off work, I know that I'm not required to do anything about these things, so I'm not like stressed out or anything when I'm off work, but I'm always aware of what I'm doing. I sit where I can see the door. I don't know. When I'm driving, I'm always aware of what car is in front of me, behind me, next to me. If I've seen the same car multiple times, I'm always aware of that. I don't know. There's a lot of things like that that you just kind of pick up. Yeah. About mods, for one, I need to learn how to have mods because I don't know how to do that. Um, that's really the first thing. If I figure that out, I might have some. I know I have some names that obviously I recognize that I can trust, and I've got some people in the Discord server that are mods there that I know I could trust. I just don't know if they're always available. So I probably should. I should probably find a way to make like 10 or 15 chat mods so that when I do live streams, if everyone's not available, there'll at least be somebody there. I'll figure out how to do that. Man, I'm not going to be able to take a week off because we just had 3 people leave my unit. So I'm changing days off and I'm going to have to work like 12 days straight. That's going to be awesome. So yeah, I saw the Big Boy comment. I'm a huge fan of Big Boy as well. Scrolling faster now. Did I miss anything important, guys? I saw this one when I was 19. Oh, that's a crazy story, Michelle. Man, some of these go too fast. I'm sorry, I just can't do it. So you see that one. Try to get back to live. Oh, there it is, Angie. It was just I was scrolled up. Thank you very much. That's really nice. Let's see. Oh. Yeah, and then Matt's talking about it. Let's see. So do not have mods. Why anti-communist 2? Because your accounts keep getting banned for saying things. I'll also have you know, well, and I don't know if it's because I've said mean things to people or if it's because with this account, I don't interact with YouTube very much. I have 3 YouTube accounts. One is like my personal YouTube account that I watch most of my channels on. If I stayed logged into one of my producing accounts, my phone would blow up all the time. So I have a separate account that I use to watch videos. That account, I can comment all the time and I never have a problem. When I'm with one of my 2 accounts where I make content, whenever I go to make a comment on something, it'll say, hey, make sure you follow the guidelines. And I get like a warning. And I don't know if it's because of the way I reply to people with my YouTube channel or if it's because I don't make a lot of comments and YouTube is trying to be like, hey, don't be an asshole. I don't know. But I haven't had any accounts banned yet, so let's see. Are there any numerous that explain? Oh, yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of channels that talk about how to have mods and all that other stuff, but I don't have time to watch them. My time is I'm very busy. Like I get up at 4:45 for work, go to work, come home, have a snack, try not to fall asleep, and then work out. And then as soon as I'm done working out, it's time for dinner. And as soon as we're done eating dinner, it's time to put the girls to bed. And then an hour after that, I go to bed, and then I get up and do it all the next day. That's what my work days are like. My days off, I have 2 days off. I spend one recording videos for this channel, and the other day editing videos for the other channel. Sometimes I'll sit down to record, and I won't have any idea what I'm going to talk about. And you know what? I think I can. You guys should have told me I was zoomed in on my face too much. I have to sell it back here. I have to move that camera. But so the one where I'm like recording like news stories and stuff like that, I start those videos over so many times. It takes me like all day sometimes to get through those videos. And then on the body camera channel, sometimes it only takes me like 3-4 hours. Sometimes it takes me 10 hours I'll edit 3 videos in a day because I like to everything's a week ahead of time. But regardless, if I finish all that stuff, then I can learn how to do something new. And I'm at a point right now where I don't have time to learn anything new. um, I'm trying, but I don't know. I think as long as I'm doing things genuinely, the production level doesn't need to be there. That's kind of my take on things. You can slow it down the settings. I don't even know what you're talking about, Matt, in that comment. Whoa, Kim. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I really do. Let's see. There are job postings everywhere. I wonder. I don't really know where all the people went. Anti-communist 2. Let's see. I would like to ask you how you deal with situations with. Okay. From London, I would like to ask you how you would deal with a situation when a knife involved. In the UK, regular officers do, and we don't have guns. Okay, that's actually a topic that I would like to kind of touch. It's something I think about. First of all, it's not that big a deal. Now, the fact that police in London or Great Britain or in the greater area, whatever, don't carry guns, that's a big deal to me. But there's a big misconception that in the United States we use our guns all the time, and we don't. One thing I would like to do is, and I'll drop that request next week. I want to take an entire day or maybe 2 days. I'm going to request every single mugshot for everybody that's arrested over like a 2-day period. And I'll bring up all the people who are arrested with firearms. People have no idea how often police officers come in contact with people with knives and people with guns and don't have a use of force. That's important for people to realize. Now, simply dealing with somebody with a knife, it's not a big deal. We can tell them to put the knife down. We can keep our distance. We can use barricades, put something in between you and that person. Talk to them. We talk to a lot of people. We can also use a taser with lethal force backup. A lot of times that stuff is just not necessary. So, but there's also those times where, yeah, those things don't work. And having a firearm is handy in those situations. Because I don't want to get stabbed. And I don't think it's the responsibility of a police officer to get stabbed or to literally take physical damage at all. It's just not. It's not our job. So the idea that officers are out there shooting people with knives all the time is just not true. It's a couple of incidents that get overblown, and I have a video coming out next week, so I'm not going to talk about it too much, but there was an officer down in Florida that was talking to a woman with a knife. He didn't know she had a knife. She pulled it out and she stabbed him, hit his jugular. They had to do an emergency surgery where they took part of a vein out of his leg and put it in his neck to save his life. Knives are deadly, and you should respond to deadly force with deadly force when it's presented. But it's just such a it's like a misconception that officers are always out there shooting people with knives. Drop the knife, bang. It's not true. Let me see. I don't know if the 21-foot rule got started in the conversation sooner than this. But I'll address that because 223 brought it up. But also, Brent just dropped a $20 super chat. Thank you very much, dude. You've been a very, very loyal subscriber. You're always there. You're always making comments. You're always making very positive comments. I really appreciate you. Hang on one second. My nose is running. That's how you deal with a sneeze. So this this 21-foot rule, that was actually something that we discussed at our annual training as well. And the way they presented it made a lot of sense. And it's something that I've never liked it when people brought up the 21-foot rule, because it makes people believe that if you have a gun and they have a knife and they're within 21 feet of you, you have to kill that person. That's not what the 21-foot rule means. The 21-foot rule is a discussion of the average reaction time and the average time that it takes someone to cover 21 feet. I don't know what the average reaction time is, but let's call it a half second, 3/4 of a second, 1 1/4 second. I'm not sure. But if someone's 21 feet away from you, you have your gun in your holster, fully clasped and everything, and you're not expecting that person to charge at you, the average officer is not able to draw and accurately fire that weapon when a person is quickly closing a gap of 21 feet. The way that gets misinterpreted is the way we're trained, and this is something that irritates a lot of people that don't know what they're talking about, is that we often show up on scenes, and if it's a person with a knife, person with a gun, suicidal person, domestic violence, burglary, I don't know, a lot of different kinds of calls. When we show up on scene, we're trained to go ahead and take our weapon out of our holster so that we can increase our reaction time, or make it so that we don't need as much of a reactionary gap to present lethal force if it's necessary. So if I'm already on scene, I've got my weapon drawn, and there's somebody in front of me that has a knife and they're displaying it in a dangerous manner, the 21-foot rule doesn't necessarily apply because I've got my gun out already. They can be within 21 feet. I'm not saying you want to let people close to you with knives when they're trying to hurt you, but the 21-foot rule itself isn't necessarily a thing. It's implied for if you have your weapon and everything in its holster under retention and you're not ready and you have to spring into action. So I'm not going to talk about who did my training. Is it 1.5 seconds? I know you've done all the Blackheart, you've done all those academies, citizen academies and stuff. Yeah. And of course, 223, I'm correct. Let's see. I don't know if you're comfortable answering, but how do you feel about working and enforcing unconstitutional laws? Okay. This one. I did a video on this. How do you feel about working as an LEO and enforcing unconstitutional laws? I would be fired if I became an LEO. I'm pretty sure I did a whole video on it. But the way I feel about that is it's not a police officer's job to determine if something is constitutional or unconstitutional. You don't want police officers making those decisions. Police officers enforce laws. Lawmakers write laws. The Supreme Court decides. It can be challenged in the Supreme Court and it can be struck down. Most laws that are going to be unconstitutional are struck down before they're taken into effect, or they're postponed or whatever. The reason I say that you don't want police officers determining what laws are constitutional, what laws are not constitutional, is because there might be a lot of police officers that disagree with your opinion of what's constitutional. I'm trying to think of an example that would be kind of weird and wacky, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, there's some like alternative cultures out there that believe the age of consent is younger than what I believe it is, if you follow me there. They might believe that laws regarding the age of consent are not constitutional. And if somebody calls and makes an allegation of an assault, and one of those officers is like, you know what, that law is not constitutional, I'm not going to enforce it. He's like, I'm just going to let that 12-year-old girl deal with what she's dealing with. Do you see where I'm coming? That's an extreme example, but it's not my job to determine if something's constitutional or not. I'm just going to leave it at that. Somebody bring up something more fun. That was depressing. I kind of have a tendency to do things that way. And this camera is bothering me. It's cutting off my head. I don't know how to make a comment go away. Oh, there we go. Let's see, advice for people looking to get into law enforcement. Where did that go? Man, some of these comments go too fast. You know, I might make a whole video on that. I'll do that for you. Let's see, I've never... Yeah, well, and along with Matt's comment, it's true that certain laws, if you don't enforce them, you'll get in trouble. But there's also a lot of discretion that law enforcement officers have. So, for instance, I was driving today, and I undoubtedly witnessed more than a handful of people turn without using the turn signal. I chose not to pull those cars over and write them tickets. Like, there's a lot of situations like that. I'm trying to think. I mean, there's discretion. So there's a little bit of wiggle room there. Or you can refer crimes, but you just don't want officers deciding what's constitutional, what's not. There was something else. Oh, go into my settings and slow down the comments. Well, I'm using a different program to go live. I'm using I've messed around with OBS and I've recorded on OBS, which I might be going too deep for people. But when I record on OBS, my face cam is all blurry. I don't know if you guys have noticed that in the bottom right hand corner, like when I do this. When I do that on OBS, that little me down there gets blurry. And I can't figure out why. It drives me crazy. It's because of the way I crop it or whatever. So I'm using a program called StreamYard. And it's just like way, way dumbed down. I can put oh yeah, see, I got that banner down there. I need to take that off. But everything is like just a click. It's really handy. So I can see the comments, but I don't have a lot of flexibility with this program. So let's see. I watched the video from the post office frauders. Those guys, I'll see this. Those guys were asking about the Third Amendment because it's not an amendment that police officers deal with on a regular basis, and they're trying to catch them off guard. So if they say, "Hey, tell me about the Third Amendment," and they're like, you're thinking about you and your job, and they're going to say, "Hey, tell me about the Third Amendment." If you say, "I don't know what the Third Amendment is," then they're going to start screaming at you. "You don't know the Constitution. You don't know what you're talking about. You swore an oath to uphold the Constitution." And, that's why they do that crap. They're idiots. Let's see, what kind of... let's see, Bethany, you asked, and you're a very loyal subscriber. I've seen your name for months and months and months and months, and I appreciate you. You asked, what kind of community events does my department put on? I'm not going to talk about my department specifically by name, just because it's just one of the things I'm going to do. And also, I don't really get into community events. It's not my thing. So I'm not the right guy to ask there. Let's see. Huh. Well, that's cool, Matt. It kind of goes back to the finding time to learn how to use this stuff. I got in here and it was like, boom. See, do I ever dance with AJ? I don't dance with anybody, not even my wife. My favorite workout to do? Right now I'm rowing. Did I make that official announcement? I'm rowing for the whole month of April. run 10,000 meters a day, 4 days a week. Although Friday, I think I'm going to do it 3 days a week. And then on Fridays, I'm going to go in and do chest day because everything I do is pulling and I need to work this side of my body. So 1 day a week, I'm going to do that. Hey, Artie, I saw your comment the other day. Send me an email. It's, can I reply to a comment? No. But I replied to your comment with my email address. Send me an email. I'd like to talk to you. Let's see. How many officers and cars on patrol during a shift on a precinct? How big is your precinct? That question I don't really know the whole answer to. How many officers and cars? Like, I mean, I know that. Like, per precinct, it's like 4 officers minimum. Often it's 5 or 6. And then there's other precincts that are close by. So if you need more officers, they can come by and help. Yeah, I'm the same way as far as getting caught up on emails. I have a couple people who I told to email me, and they did, and I haven't written them back. 223, if you're still in here, I haven't seen you in chat for a minute. But if you're still in here, I've gotten your emails. I'm sorry I haven't gotten back to you. What do I see up there? All right, Sarah Liz, have a good night. The type of patrol car I drive it's the Explorer because that's what we have. Yeah, 223. I kind of suck at both too, but I'm getting better, I think. What else was there? Oh, there was another story I wanted to talk to you guys about, and it's almost like my stories this week. It's kind of funny how when you start paying attention to something, it's like the only thing you ever see. I had that run with Michael the other day where, he called out my name and we hooked up, and he'd been sober for like a long time, and he was very excited and he talked to me about it and everything. And then a couple days later, I went, I can't. I was driving down the road and I saw another guy. You know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to show you guys a video. Let me find it. Got a video of, where is it? I'm on the Body Camera YouTube channel. I should be able to pipe it right in here. This one. I'm going to come down here, change my screen. Then we're going to play this.
This way, Scott. Try to hold together for a minute. They're going to freak out, okay?
My sister's. Hold on, just let me hear.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good? Alright. We're going to go to that door right over there. Alright. We got to keep walking, Scott. Yeah, you're able to go.
Do you guys remember this video?
Okay, thank you. Hey, Bob. Hey, wake up. You're fine. You're fine. Relax. Relax. You were sleeping in the middle of the road.
So I was driving down the road and I saw this guy. This incident here happened probably in late 2020, like going into fall in 2020. I've seen him and he's been on the Body Camera channel 3 times since then. This was recorded. He said he just got out of prison when this was recorded. And he was actually, for him, he was looking pretty good. He's looking pretty rough now. One time he was on the channel, he had a very bad gash on his hand that was infected. And his hand was all swollen. I saw him on Thursday or Friday. And he has since lost part of one of his fingers. The infection was gone, but it's now all internal and you can't see it anymore, but he requires more surgeries. But I had a long conversation with him And he told me that he's ready to go to rehab or ready to try to get clean. And he has talked to his mom, and his mom has seen him on these videos, and he was ready to go, but he wasn't ready to go right then. You know, I told him, I was like, I can get you into treatment right now. Like, if you get my car, I'll get you there. And yeah, it was Friday that I spoke to him, and he's like, no, let me talk to my mom, and he's like, be back here tomorrow at noon. So I made a bunch of calls. I went and talked to some people. I got some phone numbers, and talked to some people who are friends with his mom, and they started making calls. I was told this morning that he did in fact get a hold of his mom. He told her what his plans were, and that he was going to get together with me. I went and I waited for him today, and he never showed up. So he's somebody that's ready to get off the street. I was really hoping that I could share a story about how I helped get him into treatment today, but that didn't happen. So that was something I was really excited about, but just didn't happen. Yeah, with him, I'm not sure if he was making excuses. I think he's not ready. But he was being honest to an extent. Like, he doesn't have a phone or anything, and I think he really wanted, before he, in his mind, going to rehab means he's not going to talk to his mom for a couple of months. And I think he wanted that, take that moment of pride to be able to tell his mom that he's finally made the decision to go into treatment. Because he's never actually vocalized it yet. And I spoke to somebody on one of the teams that gets people off the street, and they kind of confirmed that he made all those calls. But also today it was like snowing and sleeting and raining and disgusting all at the same time. So I wasn't surprised at all he didn't show up. And then I found out later that if you take people to treatment on a weekend, they don't necessarily get treatment until Monday. So a lot of people that go in on the weekend end up getting dope sick and don't stay for rehab. So it's best if you can get them in Monday through Friday, because that just makes perfect sense. But I've also, let me see. Yes, random. I do take suggestions. I'm here to talk about just about anything. And if I don't want to talk about it, I'll just tell you. So feel free to fire them off in the comments. Because, I don't know, we kind of had like a long couple discussions about drug addicts and homeless people and stuff that I've been trying to help over the years, and some that I've helped. And I'm not exactly a subject matter expert on that kind of thing, but I like to share the stories because it's just another one of those things that people don't understand about police officers and the relationship they have with these people. I think the popular belief is that drug addicts are just terrified of the police and that they hate the police and that the police punish them and all the other stuff. It's been my experience that they're not afraid of us. They're more afraid of losing their access to drugs. Because like it was said in the comments and stuff, ban this person. I don't know how it's probably a slightly different page, but they're more worried about the consequences of not having access to their drugs. Like if they get arrested, they go to jail, they're going to be withdrawing really, really hard, and withdrawal from these things is torture. It's excruciating pain and torture. So if a lot of these people, if they have any fear of the police, that's what they fear. They actually trust us and they get to know us pretty well, the guys that have worked the street for a long time. And those are relationships that people definitely don't get to see. And I really like talking about that kind of stuff specifically. Let's see. The juvenile who used to pull the seat all the way up in cars. Um, he's in prison still. He, like, right after he turned 18, he did something. I think it was a burglary or something, and he got locked up for a couple years. I don't know how much longer he has in. I don't know. I see his dad all the time. His dad the kid is just like his dad. And I saw his dad the other day. I've arrested his dad probably 4 or 5 times, and he was looking healthy, which means that he hasn't been out for very long. Cause he'll go to prison, get super jacked in prison, and then he'll come out, start smoking crack and get skinny again. Then he'll get caught stealing a trailer or something like that, and he'll get put back in prison. So I saw him the other day. He was looking pretty strong, so hasn't been out for very long. And he came right up and talked to me. He recognized me and he approached me. And he's like, "Oh, how you been, man?" He's like, slaps me on the back. He's like, "You look strong," and all this other stuff. And he's telling me how he's straight and clean now and all this other stuff. And then this dude gets out of the same car that he was just in to go into the gas station and calls out his name. They look at each other. They say, something super friendly. I look over at the guy and he's a known drug dealer. So he's not on the straight and clean either. It is what it is. Let's see. Can I talk about ordered overtime? Most people don't realize it's a thing. It's not always a thing. Like in the last year, I've only been ordered overtime a couple of times. It's usually for like 4 hours. It's probably more of an issue with smaller departments. It might be an issue with my department coming up because the politicians are incentivizing people to leave in large quantities, which is leaving us very short. So I might have to work more mandatory overtime in the near future, which is going to suck. It's going to suck for what I do when I'm off duty, which is this kind of stuff. And it's going to suck for my workouts, and it's going to suck for my back because 8 hours a day is about all I can tolerate in that vest. More than that, I'm in some serious pain. Yes, pretty much my entire wardrobe consists of grunt style t-shirts. I like the way they fit. They fit nice on my neck, and they tend to fit snug on my arms. So I like the way they fit. So I buy a lot of their shirts. This shirt is a few years old. It's about to get turned into a tank top. Yeah, the majority of my shirts are grunt style shirts. Jerry, thank you very much for those. Let's see. Angie, someone set up here something about being sick. Definitely need to be ready. Oh, okay, Angie, I see that. I'm sorry to hear that. Let's see, you listen to Tim No, I don't know who Tom McDonald is. Did you suggest them one time? I'm bad about that kind of stuff. Going to court. Well, I used to be on third shift, so going to court was overtime. Now if I have to go to court, I'm on first shift. It'd be part of my shift unless it's on one of my days off. And then it would be overtime, if that makes any sense. But we don't have to go to court that often. I've testified twice in my career. The first time I ever testified in court was on a stop sign ticket. And I wrote that ticket when I was on coaching. And when you're a brand new officer and you're on coaching, you have to pull over a lot of cars. And you have to prove to your coach and to the department that you know how to write a ticket so that in the future, when you have to write tickets, you'll know how. So I remember I pulled over a car one night and I had to write a ticket. So I wrote this guy for running a stop sign, and he went and he contested it in court. He did not have an attorney, so he represented himself, and he tried to use the dry erase board to make up this big thing about how it would be impossible for me to know that he didn't stop for the stop sign. But it was funny because it was a road where I was on the straightaway, and then he was coming at an angle. And I was right behind where this road came out. So I watched him, because I'm back here, I watched him come all the way up, and he hit that stop sign at like 45 miles an hour and went on the road. And I remember looking at him, and I still remember testifying to this. I looked over at my coach. I'm like, where the hell's that guy going? So I got up on him, followed him for a minute because I ran his tags. And I remember he had like a Middle Eastern style name. And I remember looking at my coach being like, do we really want to pull this guy over right now? Because there was a possibility he didn't speak English and I didn't want to deal with that frustration. He was like, yes, do it. So I pulled him over. He spoke English. He was like 21 years old. He was born here. And then he wanted to cry. He was like, don't write my ticket. My parents are going to kill me. So I testified to all that in court. And his testimony was, well, the officer couldn't have possibly known that I ran a stop sign, or he didn't have a vantage point to tell that I actually stopped. But since I remembered it in such great detail, the judge trusted my testimony more than they trusted his. And that was just a stop sign ticket. The only other time I've ever had to testify in court was on a homicide. And that was one where I almost got ran over by a homicide suspect. I just had to testify that he was in the car because he was in the victim's car, and I had to and it was the guy who murdered him who was driving, and he had very distinct facial features, and I had to describe that in court. That was interesting. I was stressed out about testifying in the homicide trial, and it was probably the easiest thing I've ever done in my life. Let's see. You're like, I wrote a ticket once. We got new tickets, and I've only had to write like one. And like I'm lost when I open up the new ticket. I'm not a fan. Let's see. Let's see, coach, we got. You guys are funny. Let's see. Tyson, happy birthday. Whoa, wait, something just jumped. Let's see. Hope overtime isn't too exhausting for you to remember to prioritize your self-care, your dog walks, your workouts, your family time, etc. No, I prioritize that stuff. I put a huge priority on my workouts to the extent that it annoys my wife sometimes. But if I don't get to the gym or get some kind of workout, I'm physically in a lot of pain. Those workouts just help keep all my joints loose, keep my hips loose, my back, and just for my mental health. I don't miss that stuff. Now, if I have to work 8 hours on top of 8 hours, I'm not going to make it to the gym. But hopefully that doesn't happen. Let's see. I am going to Disney World. And I rode on It's a Small World last time I was there, and I don't know if we're going to ride it on again. My kids have already kind of been there, done that. We'll see. Let's see. How did awful criminals turn out? Whose police cruiser hit, responded to a call? How did the officers... Oh, those guys that were hit at the intersection, I think they're mostly fine. One of them, I heard, has a little bit of pain in his back maybe. But they weren't seriously injured. Ooh, Zach Hamilton, thank you very much. When you were in basic training and the police academy, how did you deal with the shin splints, and what did you do to avoid it? That's a great question, Zach. Are you in the academy now, or going to the academy soon? Are you one of those people that I've spoken to? I can't remember. I've mentioned this before on the channel. When I got out of the military. Well, I got out of the military in 2004. I went to work for Blackwater from 2004 to 2006. Came home, got my degree in economics, got a job as a financial advisor. I had no intention of ever having to be in physical condition again. And it showed. I should bring up some real pictures sometime. I've put up some on the workout video, but I got really fat. I got up to about 240 pounds. Currently, I'm at 224. But I'm way more muscular than I was back then. So when I started the academy, I was actually fat and out of shape, and I got shin splints really bad. I was 31 years old, so I wasn't in my 20s anymore. I would literally stop at a gas station on my way home from the academy, buy 2 small bags of ice, come home, put the ice in buckets, and fill the buckets with ice water, and put my legs in them. And I would sit on the couch with my legs in buckets of ice and watch TV for about an hour. That's how I dealt with shin sprints when I was in the academy, because we would run 4 miles in a day multiple times a week. Until my body adjusted to that. That was hard. But yeah, I had to deal with it. The thing is, if it's something that you want to do, you will find a way to push through whatever is making it difficult for you. If it's really important, you'll figure it out. Just don't quit. That don't quit is a theme when you're training to be a police officer. It's a very, very strong theme, and it's one of the things that will get you disqualified from a lot of events. It's like the continue to try and continue to put efforts into staying in the fight is very important. Because when you're out on the street, if you're in a fight, you can't quit, and you need to learn that before you're put in that position. So that's my soapbox on that. Yeah, I've never had to testify in a DUI case. I've had every DUI case that I've ever had. I've gotten in there and they've asked if I'm willing to plea it, and I usually do. Or they're just so slam dunk that they tell me, you're not going to need to testify. We got it taken care of. Did Bob take off and I miss it? I see a Bob, good bless, and I can't scroll up. Let's see. Actually, where am I? Oh, Gene with a. Is that the conversion? Because I know you didn't type in $17.99, did you? But thank you very much. You guys have come on very strong with the donations tonight. I really appreciate it. It's really nice of you guys to do that. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Some people have white uniforms and some people have black uniforms. I'm assuming you're asking about Columbus Police. The white uniform is the uniform. If they get cold, they put on a uniform that's black. Also, the division is changing uniforms from white to a different color. So some officers are wearing the new uniform. Some officers are wearing the old uniform. It's actually pretty simple. It's not, I'm not trying to insult you. There's no fancy explanation for it, if that makes sense. Yeah, I think that I might get into some legal trouble if I start pulling over YouTube subscribers and giving them tickets for fame. I think that might be frowned upon. Just saying. Let's see. Is there a way to speak with an officer about something in particular? So is there a way to speak to an officer about nothing in particular without being a victim of perpetrated incident to better understand the times of I don't know, Matt. To just sit down and talk to a police officer or find someone to talk to, that's hard, because it's not like you can just say, hey, can a police officer come talk to me? Because we won't respond to those kind of calls. Depending on where you live, you could maybe contact the chief's office if it's a smaller department, or try to contact like a local precinct sergeant. But there's also, most departments have some kind of public outreach, community liaison officers and stuff like that. I would probably find those individuals first and see if you can get in on like a meeting or something like that. And usually those guys will stand around and talk to people for a little while. Kind of wish. Greg, so your wish my half unit Sheila a belated birthday. This past Tuesday was her birthday. So explain to me what a half unit is so that I know what I'm talking about. But Sheila, it was your birthday a couple of days ago. Happy birthday. Now I'm going to have to scroll. Let me see. You guys are talking about music in here. It's hilarious. Is the Crown Vic the go-to police cars? Yes. Yes, it is. And everybody knows that. Yeah. Crown Vic is just a beast. I don't know. I really wish they would make a more modernized version of the Crown Vic. But they're not going to. And for where I work, the Explorer is fine. And it's kind of nice not getting stuck in the snow. But the Crown Vic was nice with those like big seats. There was just a ton of room in there. It was like you're sitting on a couch, driving a couch. It would be nice if it was more modernized, because the cars that came after the Crown Vic have stereos in them that you can't remove, because the stereo is integrated into like the anti-theft of the vehicle and the computer systems of the vehicle. So they can't remove the stereo. So now in police cars, we actually can listen to music while we're driving, where when it was the old Crown Vics, you didn't have any of that kind of stuff. So the new ones are at least nice for those features. So what was that? What area of Columbus would you consider to be the most dangerous? Living here for a while. I'm going to leave that one for now. Anti-communist. The Explorers are all-wheel drive, not four-wheel drive. Half unit equals wife, quarter unit. Gotcha. So for those of you who have not heard this terminology, half unit is wife, quarter unit is child. So now I know. And hopefully, Greg, you did something nice for your half unit for her birthday. And like asking me to wish her a happy birthday isn't like, I hope you're not that cheap of a bastard that the best thing you did for her is that you had me wish her a happy birthday. I'll leave it at that. Bob, you're crazy. Man. So it is approaching 9 p.m. and I do have to work tomorrow. So, and I didn't announce this when I was announcing it, but 9 p.m. was kind of my cutoff. And I don't know. Plus, this is the longest I've done, especially without a real plan on what I was going to talk about. So I'm getting a little tired. My back is getting a little sore. I did work today. So I sat all day, and then I came home, went shopping, and I sat and had dinner, and then I've been sitting here. I've been sitting a long time. I'm going to get up and stretch, maybe take the dog for a quick walk, and then I'm going to hit the sack because I got to get up at 4:45 tomorrow. So let's see. We're at 79 viewers right now. Definitely the most I've had so far on stream. You guys are helping me get better at this too, which I really appreciate. It's fun. I like interacting with you. I like answering your questions directly. Hopefully the format worked. When the video goes into the archive or whatever, where it's just in the live thing, comment on there what you thought about how things went and maybe some suggestions for next time. I want this channel. It's a little corny to say it's about you guys, but I want to cater it to what the viewers want to see. So, give me that advice if you can. And Jeff, I see that you barely snuck it in before I turned off the computer. That was really nice of you. Some of you guys, I feel a little bit guilty accepting some money. I know that everyone who's donating works really hard for their income. And, I don't know. I really, really appreciate you sharing it with me. I can't say that enough. Thank you very much to everybody who's donated some money today. It's awesome. And I do share that money with other people, just so you know. So it does help. I gave away a little chunk of money today. I can't talk about it, but thank you very much. I'm going to call it there. It's been fun, guys. I enjoyed this. Thanks for making it easy. Thanks for making it fun. I'll talk to y'all later.